switched from Catholic?
When you, let's see, you were going to a confirmation class
Yep.
in the Catholic school.
I talked.
I don't remember what
We went.
you were 15, 14, 15.
So Miss Kitty wanted
Yep.
in the video.
Well, what happened is, what you call it then?
Huh?
Terry, I think so. Somebody said,
Oh, I was laughing.
why don't you go to the church Bob Schultz goes
Oh, that
to?
was
Yeah.
Terry.
That was me.
Yeah, Terry did that, I
Because you
think.
were going to the charismatic Catholic stuff, and I
Yeah,
thought, this
we,
is just like you're going.
what happened is we got saved at St. Louis, I think, and at an Amway function.
Good.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and
Do you
they
remember when
said
that
we
was?
should find a Christian preaching church. And
It's an 80s.
so we went to one church and they had the robes on and all these guys. They were just like the Catholic church. We went to that one in Two Rivers, and they were criticizing the Catholics, so I didn't like that. We didn't like that one anyway. We went shopping for a church. We went to different churches all the time to try to find the one. And then she tells us, why don't you go to that church that Bob Schultz goes to? I
Yeah.
said, oh, yeah? Where's that? So we went there. And when we went there, it was amazing. They had classes for Dennis, it's for the school kids, the younger kids, and he got saved. Well, he must have got saved after, and he'd go to classes and stuff, and they had a chance to go out to this college and learned something, and he came home and he was so excited. He had met the Lord, and he ran in the house, and he came out, he came all his Dungeon and Dragon paper that threw him away, his tapes, his stuff. He kept running in the house and throwing his stuff away and in the garbage because he had involved in bad things, and it was such a transformation. I mean, God works. And look at him now.
Look at him now. Yeah, he really did a lot.
Let's not do that. let's just dwell on the past for a while.
It was. We went shopping for churches, and I mean, there's just. I never cried, but. What God does.
Yes.
He kept doing that too. He kept on doing to our family, making them.
Yeah, God is so good.
Diane was.
Yep, she was.
She was.
Diane was. That's all you gotta say. She was.
She was going with this divorced man. I think he was divorced.
Friend. Yeah.
And she got pregnant with him. And he was taken off with her to going to some other state.
We're going to Texas.
He wasn't even divorced. She was pregnant and doing that. And God, he was all over the stuff. She didn't have anything for the baby, no nothing, and he takes off and takes that girl with him, and it was terrible. I gave her some diapers I had and some other stuff just so she could go, and then Linda went, I think, over there, and then she didn't have nothing to go to the hospital with. We had to use our insurance and try to name the baby an Everson so so that she could have the baby, and Linda was there helping her. And it was something, I mean, God used it. I mean, I had to put her in God's hands all the time, and when she was with Jim, and because he wouldn't keep jobs and stuff like that, but and I would not babysit for him because they'd go to the tavern and get drunk and all this stuff. So I wouldn't babysit if they were going out on the weekend. I would tell them if I wanted the kids to come over and stuff. But it was what God does.
So what made you decide to go to that church?
The Lord did.
Amen.
Didn't you see him there?
And while we were in this church, the service was, I don't know, but I turned around and looked, and Dennis was trying to get out of the pew, and Daddy was trying to get out of the pew before church was done. And the Lord, I don't know, He used me to have He said, nobody was going to leave the church until I gave I prayed out in tongues, and the Lord touched me, and He wouldn't let me get out of the church until I did that.
Yeah.
And
That was a
in
good
tongues
church.
in church.
Didn't you see Jesus there?
Pastor
I
Miles.
hope you were there all the time.
Pastor Miles?
passed away.
No.
Really?
She had an awesome.
You have to do what God wants you to
He
do.
died here not
I want to hear that.
long
Right.
Pastor Miles did, yeah.
So you must Pastor Miles preaching.
I guess so.
Mom, didn't
What?
you see Jesus at the church when you went there to visit it?
Yeah,
How'd that happen?
I don't know.
I remember this.
When I didn't give tongue, didn't do what He wanted me to do, I saw Him standing right in church.
Mom, you told me a story one time that when we were all praising the Lord,
Yeah.
you know, in that church, and everybody's got their hands up, and you looked over and you saw Jesus in the pew,
Yeah.
and He said, "Why aren't they worshiping me?
Yeah.
Why are they worshiping?"
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
He said, "Why are they worshiping the worship and not worshiping me?"
Mhm.
And then she was afraid to say something to the pastor after, and you finally went to Pastor Miles, and Pastor Miles had you tell the whole church how
Yeah.
you saw Jesus.
Yeah.
So did you have an interpretation of that, or it was
No,
just...
she saw Jesus sitting there, and He was very sad. She said when she looked over, He was sitting there, and He looked at her and said, "Why are they worshiping the worship and not worshiping me?"
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
Happens a lot.
I bet he's still asking that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably. Because it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, okay.
I tell this story all the
Getting
time to
worse.
people because we do. We worship the worship.
He also told me we'd be there all day if I didn't.
Songs and that.
You said he also told me we'd be
He
here all day if
wasn't
I
there.
didn't. Lunch is at, lunch for you.
Packer
game's at noon, you better speak up.
We should be sitting there and smoking up.
Yeah, well, God uses
Praise the
people.
Lord.
He does.
Yep.